Got it. Be student as well. Okay, there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming and for joining this panel. My name is Michelle Liu. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions. I work with graduate admissions as well as JD admissions, and also an alum of the Law Center. And so I'm really, really excited to have all of you guys on the panel today, represent a really diverse group of disciplines as well as geographic areas. And I think it'll be a really good representation of the community that we have at Georgetown. So I'll do a quick introduction, starting with Karen Boland. Karen is the Assistant Dean of Graduate Programs and also the Academic Advisor for international students in the General Studies, International Legal Studies, and IWL LL.M programs. Next we have Hema Naik, and she is from India and completed her law degree at Government Law College in Mumbai. She worked for 2 years as a project finance attorney in a law firm in Mumbai, and is currently studying business law and pursuing a degree in IWL. Then we have Evgeny Minchev. He's the only Fulbright scholar from Bulgaria in the field of law for the current academic year. Graduated from Sofia University with a Master in Law and worked for the Ministry of Justice in Bulgaria. And for the last 5 years, you've been a coach and judge for the JESSUP International Moot Court Competition, and you're currently in the International Legal Studies program and with a certificate in international arbitration.
Oh, actually, just to clarify, I'm not going to get the certificate, but I'm taking some classes in arbitration.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Then we have Matthias Musa, and he's from Germany, a fully qualified lawyer from Germany. And during your traineeship, you worked in the field of international trade law and international commercial arbitration. You're in the International Legal Studies program and working towards a certificate in WTO studies. And then we have Isabella Galeano Garcia, and she's from Barcelona and has lived in many different European cities: Madrid, Rome, Paris, and Amsterdam. I'm quite jealous. And you graduated from law school in 2010 and was practicing corporate law attorney at some international and Spanish law firms, as well as at Nike. And your latest project, which I found really interesting, is called The Quirky Lawyer.
Yes.
It's a podcast on legal innovation. Next we have Shimen Zhang, and she completed her JD at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and her BA from Duke. And you're currently an extern at the Civil Rights Commission and studying general studies here, as well as getting a certificate in human rights. And last but not least, we have Michael Daniels, who's originally from Huntsville, Alabama, and you attended the Alabama A&M University and earned a degree in computer science. I was surprised to learn that for over a decade, you ran your own software engineering firm, and you're now in the tax LL.M portion of the joint JD LL.M program. Great, so all very, very impressive students, and I really look forward to our chat about Georgetown. So just to kick off, throw this question out there, what factors helped you all determine that Georgetown Law was the right fit for you?
I think for me, when I had 3 or 4 options in hand, and I like the fact that Georgetown was in a city, and when it's in a city, you have a lot of adjunct faculty. It was the same when I was in Mumbai in my law school, and we would get a lot of adjunct faculty, which was very good, and you get a very practical aspect, as well as I called up about, I think, 6 or 7 people. Every person told me go to Georgetown. So for me, it was a very easy decision in the end.
I feel that I agree with that, and also what particularly impressed me about Georgetown is the wide selection of courses that you can have as an LLM, including things like space law, which I am taking this semester. So I was really impressed, and it was an easy decision.
For me, the decision was also very easy and very clear because Georgetown is the best place worldwide to study the law of the World Trade Organization. And that's why the only reason I came to Georgetown, the main reason was really WTO law. And besides, it was also easy because I met alumni at law firms I worked for, and they also recommended me Georgetown. And yes, I mean, great thing about Georgetown is, right, as it is located in DC, it's a political center, you have a lot of agencies, also people that train you and give you a hands-on experience.
For me, actually, it's funny because it's the only law school I applied to. I knew it was either Georgetown or nothing. So there were two main reasons for that. One was I felt it was the university that would allow me to make the greater jump in my career and move forward. And also, as some of my colleagues have said, you know, when you talk to everyone around you, they really say Georgetown is the place to be. Second is the professors. I think we have great professors because of the location, and obviously the city was the third aspect that really made me decide to come here.
For me, it was mostly about, you know, networking and potential job opportunities. Like, for example, I really want to enter into policy, and so obviously this is the hotbed to do that in the United States. And so, I mean, I not only take advantage of the great faculty that Georgetown has to offer, but also, you know, there are numerous think tanks that hold like a lot of great events all around DC. So that also really factored into my decision.
And so for me, yeah, I looked at the tax LL.M program, obviously, and the fact that I could do it in one semester, you know, after completing my JD. So as an evening student, that was really important to me. But the thing that really sealed the deal for me was the people here. This was the only school where students actually stopped and talked to me when I was visiting the campus before I was admitted. And so for me, that was a big deal. I thought that if that's how people are here, you know, that's where I want to be, as opposed to just going somewhere to take classes.
Great, well that's great to hear. Well, as you can see, I mean, people come to Georgetown from all different backgrounds and all walks of life, and I think you all seem to have found something that spoke to you about either the campus or the community or the curriculum, so that's wonderful. And so, being that you guys are sort of from all over the world, what resources have you found were helpful to you in making the transition to being a Georgetown Law student?
I'll take this one. So I came in the summer program. It was very hot, and it was all new. I took a almost 16-hour flight to come here, so it was a mess. But I mean, when we had the orientation the first day, and it was great. And we had this, we had the TAs sitting, our teaching assistants were sitting and, you know, helping us sign in, and it was really good because I really felt welcome. The way they sat, they talked us down. They said, "Don't worry," you know, because they could see all of us were worried, you know, first day. And throughout the summer program, we had a lot of events. Every week we would have some get together for everyone, and I think that really helped because we got to know each other, and the professors were very good. They understood that, you know, this is all new for us, and they would really take the effort. So I think the summer program was a great idea and really helped me to make the adjustment before the actual semester started.
Great.
I agree with Hema. I mean, great was that we had introductory sessions, so also with Karen, and so that was the institutional part, right? But I mean, the great thing is, as Hema also has pointed out, I mean, we have the TAs, or we also have friends that are JD students. It's the whole community actually that helps you. So anytime I had a question, I just asked someone, right? Made a lot of friends, and I mean, they told me how to do things, and it was pretty easy to make the transition.
Yeah, the summer experience is really designed exactly for that reason, and it's optional for international students, but I think people who come do find it really helps you to make the transition into what the style of teaching is going to be like at the law school, become familiar with the campus, get to know some people before you dive into the full schedule. And then hopefully students who attend the summer experience can share a little bit of that with the new students who aren't able to attend, and at least tell them where to go and how to do the reading and things like that. So I'm glad both of you found it worthwhile.
To me, also one aspect that maybe goes overlooked is the Center for Global English and the courses on legal writing. Because obviously, anyone that gets admitted to Georgetown has a great English level, but it's a very different experience to put yourself and do a paper that meets American standards, you know. And I worked with Michelle Yulan all across last semester, and even now she's helping me when I'm trying to publish my paper. So I think that was a great resource to have someone guide you, that you were taking the right steps to write the paper, which is like a huge experience in the US.
Michael, you can probably agree with me that even for US educated lawyers, legal writing is one of the newest but most important skills that we learn in law school.
Indeed. As a matter of fact, I was just sitting here thinking I had some student mentors that helped me when I was struggling with legal writing. So I found out about the Writing Center, which was great. My mock trial coach was actually a writing fellow. And I had a professor that literally cleared his calendar to help me, get kind of acclimated in the difference between business writing and legal writing. So that was one of the biggest things that helped me make the transition.
Great to hear. And so now that you've all been living in DC for over 6 months now, and Michael, in your case, for over 3 years, how have you all taken advantage of being in DC? How has that impacted your outlook?
Oh, I guess okay.
No.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I really fully take advantage of, there's so many free events, and there's like a lot of really great just academic opportunities all around the city, like through think tanks, and there's a lot of really great film screenings. I went to this really amazing event in which they brought over a Syrian man who was actually tortured under the Assad regime, and they screened a documentary, and he gave like the most powerful talk afterwards. And I have to admit that until I actually put a face to the atrocity, I could not really fully fathom the pain and the suffering that these people have gone through. And so there are a lot of great events like this, there's, the Kennedy Center is really great for art. The museums are all really amazing. And it's just a wonderful cultural place to be.
And I think, apart from all the cultural activities and the museums are great, but also because it's DC and it's a city, the amount of networking events that we have an option to go to are amazing. And it's only possible because people live around here. It's easy for them to come for these events. So that's another very good opportunity that Georgetown offers and DC offers.
Absolutely. So, for example, so on Thursday and Friday, so this week, there's a trade update, and I'm a fellow of the Institute of International Economic Law, and as such, I'm also invited to these events, and it's just so great. So Georgetown will host this event, and everyone that is involved in trade, so lawyers, but also from the government agencies are coming and discussing current trade topics. It's just so great, and it's just because of DC and Georgetown.
And embassy events, I think the fact that you have so many embassies here really puts a special flavor in DC. That's a city like no other. To me, that's a great highlight. And also, because I'm interested in FDA regulation, all the activities around that are very strong here too.
Excellent. Great. And so, what has been your favorite memory as a Georgetown Law student so far?
So to me, it was attending a session with President Bill Clinton. So it was at the main campus, and as he is a Georgetown alumni, so he gave a speech, and it was so impressive. Sitting first of all in this very unique and beautiful assembly hall at the main campus, and also hearing this great speech, just very impressive.
I was lucky enough to go to the Ruth Bader Ginsburg event, and it was also it was so life-changing. She is such an extraordinary woman. She talked about being one of 5 women in like or 9 women in a class of like 500 men at Harvard Law. And it just, at that moment, it really hit me like how extraordinary of a person she is and how ordinary I am, you know, like, so I was like, oh my goodness. But aside from that, like a very personal experience was just, even last week when I met with one of my professors to discuss my paper topic, she's just like one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life, and she's just so distinguished, and she's achieved so much in international justice. And the way that she like goes out of her way to care, to like make you academically like interested in these topics, it was just, it really blew me away. Just that kind of, you know, one-on-one conversation she was willing to offer.
Yes. Please. No, thank you. Well, since we are throwing in names, I was lucky enough to see Steven Schwebel in person, and he was actually the president of the World Bolt, and he gave a talk at, well, not here. Let's just say that, and it was quite special because his career reflects in many respects what I hope to achieve in the future. He has been in the UN. He has, as I said, presided the ICJ, and a thoroughly brilliant fellow, and a gentleman with a very nice sense of humor, I have to say.
Maybe my priorities are not right, but I think my favorite memory is going for basketball matches here. Because everyone's throwing names, and I'm like, okay, my priorities are really different. But Captain 1 is very close by, and we have all our home games there. So I had the season ticket, so I would go for every match. And in the first match, we got Michael Jordan was there. That made my day. So since we were
Well, I was actually going for scavenger hunt initially, but after Bill Clinton, and Rudy Ginsburg, I had to step up a little bit.
I think for me, the LL.M program has been kind of a whirlwind over the last month or so, but my favorite memory was actually in the JD program, where we got an exclusive tour of the Magna Carta when it was here. So very few people actually got to go see it. We had an exclusive tour for Georgetown students.
Great. So, Shemin, I know you mentioned this a little bit, but I'd love to hear more about each of your classroom experiences and interactions with your professors, and how has that kind of helped you in your studies at Georgetown?
So classrooms can be big, and some are small seminar classrooms. I've always had thank God till now, I've always had a very good interaction with my professors. They're very helpful. They will, whenever there's a problem, if I send an email, I always have an answer, I always have a solution. And I think that's very important because, as a foreign student, sometimes you don't know how to approach them. The way to approach professors in my home country is very different from approaching professors here. And there's always that fear, but they are, they're very welcoming, they encourage you, and they always have a solution, and that's very important, and for me, that's really important. Even with Karen, I've always had found a solution with her, there's never a time where and that's most important, at the end of the day, you need a solution.
I fully agree with what she said, especially about Karen, who has been super helpful throughout the semester. But with professors as well, it's really something to see how a professor who is also a great practitioner in the field responds to your query in 1 hour or so. So, he manages to fit you in his really busy schedule and accord you the necessary attention and all that. So yeah, this is really impressive, and the fact that we have some leading practitioners in the classroom, both as regular professors and as visiting lecturers, for example, is something that really adds to the experience, I would say.
First of all, it's a very high level that we have in class over here at Georgetown, which are due to the top practitioners. And in WTO law, Georgia really has the top professors in this field worldwide, and it's just so great. And besides, it's also very intense because we get the reading materials in advance. We're supposed to read it up front, which means also the professor asks us and also expects that we know the issues. But I mean, at the same time, we learn a lot, and it's really hands-on experience. I mean, we have issue spotting, we have some mock trials, and really practice what we learn. So that's really great. And I mean, besides also, and because of easy and because of the great connections, so our professors have. So, for example, in my WTO class, we had the senior advisor of USTR, so United States Office of the Trade Representative, which is the right hand of the president when it comes to trade, and it's just so great. I mean, talking to him and discussing to him about trade topics and getting also insights. So, really unique experience.
Yeah, to me, really, they're so accessible. You know, in other countries where I come from, normally it's the professor there and you're here, so there's a kind of distance. But in the seminar classes in particular, it's like a really sharing experience. Like, professors want you to contribute to the discussion, and to me it was amazing. Like, if I had to do one recommendation, is for sure make strong connections with your professors. Professor Bragg made the introduction that led to me having an externship right now. So they have been really crucial, open doors, like also for the classes, but for your career afterwards. You know, professors are so valuable here and very open and willing to get time to talk to you.
Okay, I guess like everyone's really like, you know, already told you about how great the professors are. I mean, again, like mine, like a lot of mine were like, they served on the Obama administration, and but I really want to like shift the conversation into just your peers, like how intelligent they are and how amazing like class discussions are, and how like how people have extremely different viewpoints. For example, I remember in my human rights law class, we had quite a few women who were Navy JAGs, you know, and just the level of conversation throughout the classroom was just so inspiring. And again, I cannot stress how ordinary I feel every single day, even like with the, you know, the degrees that you guys have and just experience you guys have being on this panel. I'm just like, wow, there is so much about the world that I do not know, and it's just inspiring to be here every day.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, the nice thing about the professors is when we come into classes and we're having a discussion, and sometimes it takes kind of a rabbit trail, most of our professors are willing to indulge that in the sense of allowing everyone to kind of learn from each other, as opposed to just kind of standing in front of the class and saying, well, I'm the professor, so I'm just going to tell you everything. They really do make it a collaborative effort. I think that's one of the things that, I mean, for me, pushes me to be better. And pushes me to be a little bit more vocal when sometimes I might want to just sit back and maybe not say anything.
It's great to hear. I think that one of the things I regret the most about my own law school and undergraduate education is not engaging with professors as much and kind of seeing them as somebody up on a pedestal. And so I'm so happy that all of you have had the opportunity to get more personally connected with your professors.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And on that note, Karen, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about how you and your office supports your students.
Sure. So in the Office of Graduate Programs, we have a number of different people whose main job is really to support our LL.M students in different ways. And that goes all the way from people who help our international students get the student visas that they need to come into the country, to people whose job it is to work with students to find jobs for after the LL.M is over. So all the way from before you get here to after you leave. And in between, we have academic advising and other kinds of assistance. We try to organize some fun activities throughout the year so that students can relax together from time to time. We just had an international celebration last week trying to highlight the diversity of our class, because we have around 70 different countries represented in our LL.M class. As far as academic advising, so we have both the more general flexible degrees and specialized degrees, the tax program, global health, environmental law, national security law, that each have their own academic advisors who are specialized in that area. I work with a lot of the international students who do the more flexible degree programs to try to navigate some of the requirements of different degree programs, the New York bar, how to prioritize between things, because there's so many things to choose from. Sometimes it's hard to decide whether to go in one direction or another, and I can't answer that question for students, but I do my best to ask the questions to figure out how people want to take the most advantage of the year. And then I think professors are also very helpful when people have specific questions related to a subject area and how their course selections can fit into their long-term career goals. So even though Georgetown is a large school, we try to do our best to help students on a one-on-one basis when they need it. So that's how I've gotten to know most of the people at this table.
Wonderful, yeah. And so we've heard a lot about your experience at Georgetown, and all of it seems so diverse and positive. So looking forward, what do you plan to do after you finish the LL.M program?
I plan to go back to work in a firm for a few years at least. That's the plan. I don't know where I will work, so I can't say at this point, but let's hope it will be somewhere here or maybe somewhere in Singapore.
So I eventually have to go back to Bulgaria since I'm a Fulbright scholar and this is part of the contract basically. And I do look forward to going back here to reinvest what I learned here. But I also might stay here for some time before that for another 18. And I'm currently in talks with some local law firms, so nothing is certain yet, but I might have the opportunity to stay, which is amazing because indeed in arbitration there are some giants here that you can learn a lot from.
I would like to work in the field of WTO law, and also that I have the specialization from Georgetown. And this unique experience, I have to be flexible, so I might do an internship first at the WTO itself, so I'm just applying at the moment. Let's have a look what the outcome will be.
Yeah, so to me, Georgetown really has been deeply transformative. I come from a background of working intensely in M&A, and I decided I want to learn more about legal innovation and how everything is changing. That's why I started the podcast. The Quirky Lawyer is taking off, so I'm very happy. And also one of the things is whenever I reach out to partners or people in the legal field to get them interviewed, when I say I come from Georgetown, that opens a lot of doors, and I think that's a great factor. And as another job, I want to stay for the OPT here and work at the legal department of an American company.
For me, since I'm a U.S. citizen, I'm actually hoping to work at a think tank for a year after I graduate. And then I'm going to start applying to some master's in public policy degrees because for me, I'm much more interested in the policy and academic side of quite a few issues that I see as very important domestic problems. For example, police brutality and the lack of regulation there, and especially working at the Civil Rights Commission, all of these issues have just, it really pushes me to do the best that I can and contribute to the world.
Well, for me, there's so many different opportunities that have come up, especially in even the last 6 months. So now it's a choice between law firm, working here or working, doing my own thing. So I think for me, it's probably going to be some combination of all of the above. I'm not the type to just sit and do one thing. So it'll be entrepreneurial and it'll be fun, whatever it is.
Wow, well, I have a lot of confidence that you all will go on to do great things after you finish your LL.M program here. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask if there's anything else that you think would be helpful for a prospective student to know about Georgetown that hasn't already been discussed here.
Well, if I may, I would suggest asking questions right from the start to people here at the academic advisor, the career advising people, people who have graduated before from Georgetown, people who are currently here as 2Ls, 3Ls, or on their second year in the LM, in the 2-year LM program. Just try to get as much clarifications as possible, because it's hard, especially if you come from, for example, a civil law country as opposed to a common law jurisdiction. This also might prove to be a hard thing to adjust to. So, whatever is best for you to try and find your place as quickly as possible. I would suggest that.
I wish I actually took advantage of more of the fun events that Karen was talking about, more of the socializing things. We have this thing that's called like Wind Down Wednesday, and basically, essentially, every Wednesday, you have a lot of free food and you have a lot of free drinks. There's so many free food events on campus. I don't think that should make your decision of which school to choose, obviously, but it's a perk, and there's a lot of free stuff, and just take advantage of it. So.
Totally agree. I haven't made one yet in 3 years. But I think if you're trying to make a decision on attending Georgetown, one of the best things you can do is actually visit the campus. There are things that just don't come across on paper that you find once you actually set foot on the campus. And I think if you can make it here before you make that decision, that's probably the best thing that you can do.
I agree with Afghani when it comes to planning ahead. So when you come to Georgetown before, right, you have to do a preliminary decision when it comes to the courses. And actually, this decision also has an effect when it comes to your courses. And because spaces are limited in some courses, for example, in trade courses, and sometimes, so it really makes sense to discuss the courses where you want to head. And I mean, so Karen was always available. I also phoned her from Germany, and we figured things out. And I was so thankful I could recommend it.
We'll also be doing some webinars over the course of the spring and before the course registration takes place, because you're right, the course registration can be kind of a confusing process, so we try to tell you both the technical side and then some things to keep in mind about the kind of classes that you choose.
I was actually in Vienna doing mine.
Doing the
I was
webinar?
doing the pre-registration.
Ah.
I was on vacation, and I spent an entire 24-hour period just comparing CRMs and subjects and all that, and it was a mess, but
it's the only downside of having such a large curriculum, is it makes it
exactly
just harder because there's too many things to choose from, and it's like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah, and in that note, I would say be brave, because sometimes the next step in your career comes from the most unexpected subject you get. So I think that also is an opportunity. Like, take advantage, be courageous and take action.
Good advice.
Great, excellent advice. Well, that's a great note to end on. I just want to say thank you all so much. It's a very, very enlightening panel, and I hope that it's helpful for our admitted students and deciding to come to Georgetown. So thank you all so much, and have a great rest of the semester at Georgetown.
Thanks so much. Thanks for coming.
All right.